Good morning, everyone. Will DuPree here in the KXAN live studio. We wanted to update you about a new court document we got related to a missing mom and her baby. We, of course, are talking about the Heidi Broussard and Margot Carey case. We know that Heidi obviously was killed, and her close friend, Magen Fieramusca, was arrested for kidnapping and tampering with a corpse. Those were the charges she was facing currently, but we just got a new court document related to those charges. And here to break down a little bit more about what we found out so far is KXAN reporter and anchor Jacqulyn Powell. Jacqulyn, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Will. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
A lot of new details from this affidavit that we got from the courts today. Just to kind of trigger people's memory, Heidi Broussard went missing back on December 12th. Her and her baby, Margot Carey. It was about a week before Broussard was found dead in the trunk of a car in Houston, and little baby Carey was found in the residence. Okay, she's been returned to her father, to her family since, but just a lot of new details coming out today.
Yeah, a lot to go through in that affidavit, Jacqulyn, but you were looking through it, and we want to start off and let you all know a little bit more about Heidi Broussard and Magen Fieramusca's relationship. We had reported a little bit about this as them being close friends, but this affidavit reveals a very close relationship indeed.
Right, and we had heard from, Shane Carey, Heidi Broussard's husband, and some friends who we talked to about their relationship, but this affidavit just really confirms from police some of what we'd heard, that they had been friends for about 10 years from a Bible college, and their relationship seems like they were very close. In the affidavit, it says that Fieramusca was actually there on the day that Margot was born. She was in the hospital with Broussard and Carey's family as their baby was born, wanted to hold the baby. It goes on to say that she actually stayed at their house the night, or their apartment rather, the night that Margot was born, had a key to their place that Shane Carey doesn't remember ever being returned. So a very close relationship. She lived in Houston, so the affidavit says that, after the day that Margot was born, Fieramusca went back to Houston, but then we find out later in the affidavit kind of the timeline of when police say she came back to Austin.
And again, if you're looking right here on your screen right now, between Jacqulyn and I, this is a picture of Heidi Broussard there on the right, and then Magen Fieramusca there with the cap on. This is them at some sort of outdoor activity together at some point before all this took place. Again, we were just talking about the relationship the two had. It was very long-standing. Again, Magen Fieramusca was there after the delivery of Margot Carey. But we're seeing now from police that they had a neighbor come forward and talk to them and provide some details on the day that Heidi and Margot went missing, and they even found surveillance footage to kind of back up some things. Detail that, Jacqulyn.
Yeah, a couple of neighbors seem like they really helped detectives in this case. Of course, she went missing on the 12th again, and within just days of that, detectives started digging into some security footage. One neighbor in Heidi Broussard and Shane Carey's apartment complex had one of those security cameras that captured the Nissan registered to Magen Fieramusca coming into the complex on December 12th and heading toward the back, which is where their apartment was located. From there, detectives were able to talk to another witness who was inside the apartment complex that day, a woman who said that she saw a woman with a baby getting into a car that looked like that Nissan. The way it's described, it's a little unclear of the details, but they never say who was in the driver's seat. They say that a woman was in the passenger seat, and then another woman was walking to the car with a baby and got in the back seat without any kind of car seat or anything. So again, kind of unclear on the details there, but that really led police to start looking into Fieramusca. From there, they pinged Heidi Broussard's cell phone, a couple of days after, for 48 hours, a couple of days after she went missing, and they weren't able to find a location on it, so it wasn't in use. They also, though, pinged Fieramusca's cell phone and were able to find that she had been there on the 12th in Austin, close to their apartment complex, if not there. And what was really interesting was that they were able to reach out to Google and use her Gmail account to get access from Google to review all of the searches she had made from her Gmail account, Fieramusca that is. And that is where, lots of pages here in this affidavit, but let me find exactly what the affidavit says, because a lot of interesting information here. When they reviewed her email searches, they were able to find that on December 12th, the day that baby Margot and Broussard went missing, Fieramusca's email account had searched for Amber Alert issued in Austin. Now, this is important because an Amber Alert was never put out for baby Margot. So, the average person probably wouldn't know that there should be an Amber Alert. Up until December 18th, they've then found that the email address had searched at least 162 times Heidi Broussard's name. And then on December 14th, that search coming from that email address was bodies found in Austin, Texas. So from there, police really started to zero into Fieramusca from what this affidavit tells us.
And Jacqulyn, this is again Magen Fieramusca's mugshot right here between us, but the details from them gaining access to her Google search results then led them to Houston, which is where ultimately Heidi Broussard's body was found. Take us through what this affidavit tells us about when police got to Houston.
So they got to Houston, and they were led to Fieramusca and her ex-boyfriend's home. Now they, according to the affidavit, she and this man, who we're not going to name, had broken up back in March, but they were still living together. He believed that she was pregnant, that the baby was his. In this affidavit, it says he told police he had touched her belly and it felt firm. He had never seen it bare because their relationship just wasn't there anymore, and he hadn't seen her stomach, but he obviously, according to the affidavit, thought she was pregnant, thought he felt the belly. And so from there, they actually tracked him down when they got to Houston. They say he was at a Target store. He was buying infant formula and infant clothes. And, they talked to him. Everything in the conversation that we can read seems like he, thought his baby was at home. They showed him a picture of the missing persons flyer for baby Margot, and he said, "That's the baby that's at my house." From there, detectives did talk to him, and I don't want to misquote anything here, so let me make sure that I am pulling up the right quote. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. So when the ex-boyfriend is talking to police, he told them that on December 13th, which would be the day that after Broussard went missing, he came home, and Fieramusca was saying, "Don't be mad, don't be mad," then told him that there was a baby on the bed, that she went into labor and delivered their baby without his knowledge. Now, at this point, police are in Houston. They went to question Fieramusca, and when a DPS ranger questioned her, she said she had given birth at a birthing center in the Woodlands, but couldn't even give the name of the birthing center. They kind of talked about the discrepancy of where she was on December 12th, the day that Broussard went missing. She said she was not in Austin. They had records. They had pinged her phone. So from there, they really, of course, they're suspicious. Just a lot there when they got to Houston that unfolded on that day, on the 19th, before they found Broussard's body.
And important to recognize there too and reiterate the point is that Magen Fieramusca's ex-boyfriend that she was living with assumed she had been pregnant, and then at some point he had left and come back, and then that's when she told him, "I had a child," and that's the baby that's in this house right now.
And I do want to clarify, nowhere in this affidavit does it ever say that she wasn't pregnant. Police have not come out and said that. It would seem from reading this that they are building a case that she may not have been pregnant, but we cannot confirm that. It doesn't say that anywhere.
Good thing to clarify there, Jacqueline. And then also, it had been reported, unfortunately, that Heidi Broussard's body was found in the trunk of a car at that very house. And we know now which vehicle that was. And unfortunately, we also have video of that particular home and the vehicle where Heidi's body was found.
Yeah, we, had heard it was found in a vehicle, but couldn't confirm until now with the affidavit that it was that Nissan that was seen in the apartment complex picking a woman up with a baby, seen on surveillance footage, tracked down by police, and that is registered to Fieramusca. That's the car that you see right there, that light Nissan. And, just really horrific details. The detective who walked out back, they had already seen at this point in surveillance footage that there was a car parked back there, thought it was a little suspicious because that looks like somewhere where you'd, park a car if you're trying to hide it.
Right, a back patio, yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately when he walked up to the car, the affidavit says that he smelled an odor and opened up the trunk and found the body, which ended up being Broussard's body, in a duffel bag in the trunk.
Just terrible.
Yeah.
Details to reveal there, but we do want to let you all know about the latest information that we have coming in about this case. A lot of you all have been invested in this and kept up with it pretty up to date. So again, if you're just joining us, we are talking about the death of Heidi Broussard and then her young daughter, three weeks old at the time, Margot Carey, being found alive, and then the arrest of Heidi's close friend, Magen Fieramusca. Jacqulyn Powell is joining us here. She's been going through an affidavit for Magen Fieramusca all morning long. There are a lot of details, and Jacqueline, you're going to be working on a story for this evening about this very document.
I am, and particularly, Will, this affidavit that we have is for what Fieramusca has been charged with so far, and that's kidnapping. There has been no murder charge in this case for Heidi Broussard's death yet. I'm working on trying to get answers from the DA's office today on whether a murder charge is forthcoming, kind of the process there, what's going on. We're also reaching out to family and friends and working to get more for you at 5 tonight.
All right, so you all can tune in at 5 o'clock tonight on KXAN News to hear the latest on this story. But Jacqueline, thank you for coming in and joining us and kind of breaking down all those details. It's a lot to go through. We hope you followed along pretty well. I know a lot of you are interested to see how this story unfolds from here and the details that are included with it. If you'd like to read more, it's on our website at this very moment and the KXAN News app, but you can go to KXAN.com to read a lot more in detail about this case that we've been following since last month. All right, we're going to end our live stream now. Thank you all for joining us here on KXAN Live, and stay with us on KXAN for the latest on this case. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here another time.